All right, here's where I'm at. I have got to stop for the night. This has gotten way more complicated than originally we thought. So before I get into the nitty gritty of every little gusset, cross brace, bolt plate, there's still a lot to be done from an engineering standpoint. But I think we're looking at least $20,000 of fabrication work here. Um, so I feel like it kind of got out of hand. There's some 6-inch tubes here that are going to be what we mount the crane on, and I made those extra large because they are the crane. And then on the other end, there are some 3-inch tubes, which is perfectly stiff enough for handling this 1,000-pound weight. But there's a couple of overhung loads here. When you move this out of position, I need to get it out past the um, trough, and then you'll swing this crane into position, hook it up, and take it over here and drop it over here. I put this theoretical person standing there because if you look at okay, here's what we scanned that day. Um, if you look at what we scanned, there was a catwalk. I got the person standing right there at that vertical ladder, and the catwalk hung, well, right next to there, right? Um, so I'm trying to sneak a lot of this steel framework in between that catwalk, and I wanted to make sure there was still room for a man to crawl up that ladder. So everything fits as far as I can tell. Um, I guess I just need some feedback before somebody goes, well, now wait a minute, I didn't think it was going to be that complicated, but I really think it is that complicated. I don't know how to do it any better than this. I mean, the amount of time that I've spent figuring out, this has got 11 thousandths of deflection whenever this trolley rolls over it, and that's with some braces that you don't see here yet. But you can tell that I'm going to brace it because this corner, I've got that corner support, and then I'll do another 45 over here. Off of those braces is where I'm going to mount the trough system. I need some cross bracing this direction so that when the crane is overhung over here, I'm protected. And then I guess if I was going to show anybody anything else, this bracket right here that rolls back and forth that the actual device mounts to, that bracket is the part that lets the sand fall through it. So everything's trying to do double duty here. So that's the idea. Let me turn this off here so you can see. That's what it would look like. I would fabricate this mechanism, and then your piece would bolt to that, and then it would allow the sand to fall through, and it would give you a mounting spot for the rubber flaps that go downside the trough. I'm allowing for mounting using these jack screws, so the weight's always going to be supported on these wheels that are, V groove wheels. There'll be a angle iron that mounts on top of this track, and basically when you get the part into position, once you slide this thing into position, you would use these jack screws to lift it up and make your connection. That way the weight is never, we're not hanging any more weight from this funnel. The weight is always going to remain on this track. One other point I'd like to make is that the upper deck, I started modeling these funnels at the upper deck. So that's where the upper deck is. So I've remained, even though this is up 14 feet in the air, it is underneath that upper deck. And the other thing that took a long time, but I finally figured out, is that the trough barely makes it. It's where it's the most out of alignment. I finally got the trough lined up where it is exactly to the right side. It's barely making it, and then on the left of this one, it's barely making it. So it's maximum angle is what I'm getting at. I'm still a little bit further off than I wanted to be from those two inlet bars. But if you remember that day, and I'll turn back on the scan data, there was actually plenty of wiggle room. You know, like that conveyor is quite a bit wider than those bars are. So I don't think we're gonna have any problem dropping that trough in where it needs to drop in, and it actually helps us in terms of meeting up with this other conveyor. Um, so I feel good about it. I really do. I think the thing will work quite well. It just got a lot more complicated than maybe anybody else knew, and so before I get an entire drawing plan together, and somebody says, "Man, I was expecting to spend $500," we probably need to talk about this one.